Yo, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Jay Hod, and welcome back to the channel, y'all. And y'all see it, we are back in it, State of Decay 3. I don't want to say Juggernaut Edition, because we don't, that's not what it is, but I'm tempted to say that. But today in this video, we are going to be diving deeper into more information we are getting about State of Decay 3. And the source of that information is the interview by Kevin Patzelt. He is the creative director over at Undead Labs. He did an interview with Xbox Wire recently, I think as recently as the trailer being put out, where he gets in depth about the game. I mean, he really gives us a total rundown of the game in a lot of detail, more detail than I thought they would tell us. So he talks about the combat system, the different zombie types, the map or map sizes. He gets into more about the multiplayer base / settlement, they're calling it in this game, you know, things of that nature. I'm tripping over my words here. And looting. So without further ado, let's not waste any more time. Let's jump right in. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is the trailer. He talks about the trailer, he covers it. And the big thing he says about the trailer, as I get a notification on my phone, is that it is not CGI, that it is actual gameplay. And he goes further to say that this is 100% gameplay, game capture, minus the studio logo. You know, over the shoulder shots, scenes and action sequences. He's saying it's 100% gameplay, which, you know, in my opinion, I don't think it was 100% pure gameplay. I'll go on a limb and say maybe it was about like 95. Some of it you can tell is obvious gameplay. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's obvious gameplay in it. There's other parts of it that, yeah, it's gameplay, but it's very cinematic. It's very cinematic. So I feel like it's doctored a little bit. I don't know. I doubt like CGI doctored, but it doesn't feel like natural gameplay to me. You know what I'm saying? Like it's obviously not like a trailer, but it's not like organic gameplay to me. So I will go on the limb to say that it's probably like 90 to 95. The gameplay, some of the shots in there, yeah, it is like over the shoulder, very cinematic. Like they changed the camera angle from maybe behind the character to off to the right to make it look like, you know, an action cinematic movie type of sequence. But I don't know if I can agree with him that it's 100. I can definitely say that it looks more along the lines of maybe 90 to 95% gameplay, which I'm not complaining. It looked very, very good. You have the graphics, you can tell, are very enhanced. He talks about the Undead Labs using the Unreal Engine 5, which looks phenomenal. I talked about that in another video, where if you have ever seen the game Samson that came out recently under the Unreal Engine 5, that game looked phenomenal. It's not a huge game, it's just for PC, but it looks really good. So I'm very, very pleased with the trailer. You know, it don't have to be 100% gameplay, but it's enough gameplay in there for you to get a feel of the game, how it's going to look, and how it's going to feel to be behind the controller on day one. All right, the next thing that he talks about here is the Plague Nest, the evolution of the Plague Nest. Now, starting from ground zero, he speaks about how you guys remember the heart attack update in State of Decay 2, where the plague kind of started to come after you. It was aggressive, but really only if you woke up the plague heart. That's when the plague kind of got on the front foot and it was hunting you down. It was coming for you. It's sending out infestations, and then those infestations kind of built into siege sites, right? So they built upon that with the Plague Nest that they're introducing into State of Decay 3. The only thing that it's different is that this is going to come for you from the start. You don't have to provoke it. It's going to be hunting you down from the start. He talks about it like being in dungeon-like areas, so they're going to be in certain areas of the map. I don't know if it's going to be random. I don't know if it's going to be preset places where it's always going to be and it's going to branch out from there, or every time you start a map, it's going to be in different places. And as you eliminate one plague nest, it'll pop up somewhere else completely different, not prescribed or pre-planned through the code in the game or anything like that. So they're saying that you're not really going to be able to sit back and just, ignore it. No, you're going to have to take on the plague threat head on. And they're calling it like dungeon like. Like when you go into these plague nests, you're going to be surrounded by plague blisters, boils, and plague hearts. So it's gonna be pretty nasty and interesting at the same time. The one thing I do want to say that I was very impressed that they said about plague nests is that they're all gonna have their own persona, their own way of behaving and growing. They actually call them personas. They said every time you get one, it'll take a different form, a different behavior set, a different way it comes at you. It's going to keep things fresh, kind of keep you on your toes. You're not going to know how each nest is going to, behave or how it's going to consume, particular parts of the map. So you're really going to these things are going to be pretty cool. They also said some might spread quickly and come at you fast. Some might stay close and become really, really difficult, grow and get nasty and kind of encourage you to come at it. So it kind of gets on the defense as opposed to the one that is more offensive. Also, these behavior sets they're calling them are pretty extensive and they will develop over time. So I'm guessing that, as they update this game, they'll probably add different things to the plague nest, how they react, this hive mindset type of vibe. So it's gonna be pretty intense. I'm thinking here, I'm wondering how you're gonna take these plague nests sound really good to take on in multiplayer as a group. I want to see how someone takes on these plague nests in a solo run. That's intriguing because they seem a little overwhelming for one player. It seems like more of a group type of attack. So I'm interested to see how someone takes on plague nests solo because they sound very, very overwhelming. All right, and the next thing I want to talk about is the combat system. As we know, in State of Decay 2, it's really single button combat. I think if you're Powerhouse, you can kind of have I don't want to say like another attack, but you kind of have that swing where they hold on to it real tight and then they get that big swing in. People typically use that for when they're attacking plague hearts, but in State of Decay 3, we are getting a 2-button attack now, y'all. So that means you're going to be able to attack zombies and other threats in 2 different ways. There's going to be 2 buttons. You're going to have a quick attack, which is something that might kind of knock a zombie back, stagger them, stagger a bunch of them, maybe not just even one. And then you're going to have a power attack, which is really going to do damage. You're going to swing whatever, heavy weapon or modified melee weapon you have and do a lot of damage. You can use both or one or the other in different scenarios, depending on what kind of threat you're facing, how overwhelmed you're getting, by attack of all different types of zombies. So I think that's going to be cool. Sunny Games had mentioned something about combat. Shout out to Sunny, where he said, it's kind of fluid. It's a fluid attack. Whereas in State of Decay 2, it's more like button mashing and you might duck and move here. But in State of Decay 3, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not, this is kind of paraphrasing Sunny here. It's a fluid system. So you can kind of hit, move, hit again, move, kind of duck, move, hit, and it kind of flows really nicely. So that sounds good, and I'm all here for it. Let's get it. All right, the next thing I want to cover is zombie types. They talked about zombie types in State of Decay 3. Now, in State of Decay 2, we had different types of zombies. We had regular zombies. And I'm talking just zombies, not freak zombies. But we had the plain zombies, like the normal everyday zombies that look like regular people. We had the blood plague zombies. And the armored Zeds. So you really got maybe 3 core types of zombies, but they all kind of did the same thing, minus the blood plague zombies who would infect you, and the armored Zeds that were hard to take out because they had gear on or whatever. But in State of Decay 3, they're doing something very interesting here. They have different zombie types, and so they have a more decayed, slow zombies that have been pretty, dead for a long time, so they're decaying. They're more, I don't know if I don't want to say more skeletal, but they're breaking down. You have fast zombies who are less decayed, obviously people who might have turned a little a little sooner than the other ones. And of course they still have zombie armored Zeds in the game. So they're saying that's going to be interesting, and that's going to, be a big factor when you are getting overwhelmed by large groups of zombies. You can have all types in one horde, and you're dealing with slow, but now you got ones that'll chase you, and now you got a couple armor Zeds in there. So you're gonna have your hands full when you're dealing with a couple of these zombie hordes, and you got all different types of zombies. So I think that's a great add-on to the game, that they are, making different types of zombies in State of Decay 3. I'm excited for this. This sounds really good. All right, and next, the map size. What everybody wants to know, what we all here for, is the map or maps with the S sizes. So they pretty much said in this article that it sounds like there's just going to be one map. And it's going to be one map, but it's going to be like 4 times the size of the maps in State of Decay 2. I don't know if I'm saying that right or if that makes sense at all. Now I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, man, that don't even sound right. But let's just picture it like this. Like, you take all 4 maps from State of Decay 2 and you combine them, and then you got your State of Decay 3 map. And that's just me guessing. There's 4 maps there, right? Providence, Trumbull, Cascade Hills, Meager, and Drucker. Yeah, so let's just say you take all those maps, put them together. You got your State of Decay 3 map in a nutshell, for the most part. That sounds awesome to me. I'm happy with that. I know a lot of people kind of wanted, maybe multiple maps, but I think one map makes it a lot cleaner. Makes it a more of a, I want to say AAA game or whatever, but it just sounds better to me. I think it's better for the game. It's a large map, so I'm all here for that. It would have been different if it was like a small map. I just hope that maybe each section of the map, like different parts of the map, have different vibes, like a more foresty area, a more residential, maybe a little bit more barren in certain areas, but like you get a different vibe in different areas of the map. So I'm excited for this. I like the fact that we are getting a larger map for State of Decay 3. All right, next I'm going to talk really quickly about multiplayer, because we got a lot of information on that, and he didn't add too much more. At this point, again, it's untethered. You can come in and create settlements together. You can, one person can play and the other person cannot be on. So when you create, a settlement together, like, you each can contribute in your own way, and you don't both have to be on. You can go out on your own anywhere on the map. You're not tethered to each other. Someone can be at base, someone can go out and do a mission, or, go hunt for resources. You can go out together. One person can go take on an infestation or a plague nest or different things. So you're not tethered to each other. Like, you can kind of work together and go out together, or one person can go this way, you can go that way, and we'll meet back up at base or at wherever we're going, whether we're taking on a threat or not. So that's multiplayer in a nutshell. Like, that's just me running through it real quick. The next thing I want to talk about, though, that's kind of connected to multiplayer, is the bases. Big news. You can have more than one base/settlement. That's huge. That is huge news, to be able to have more than one base. I mean, he explained it like you can have, more than one base, and each settlement, and I gotta stop saying base, each settlement can be for different things. One settlement might just work on food, another settlement might just focus more on meds, and another settlement might work on, ammo and gun production and different things like that. So that's pretty cool. And with that being said, obviously you can customize, different settlements, and they don't all have to be the same. They're going to obviously be different. But I also want to add in there too, that means that you're going to have a lot of members of your one cohesive settlements, because it's not like you're going to build a settlement and there's no one going to be there. No, you're going to build settlements, and there's going to have to be people there to run it. So I think that we're going to be able to have a lot of members in our community. I dare say large, maybe like 20 to 30 people, maybe even more. I don't want to jump at the gun here, but it seems like if you're going to have a bunch of settlements, 2 to 3, you're gonna have to have people at them running them and doing things like that. So that's awesome. That's great to hear there. Again, you can customize those different settlements and facilities and build them up and make them to what works for you and your members. The next thing I want to talk about is the Enclave upgrade. The Enclaves are going to kind of have a mind of their own in their own right. They're going to be working too. They're going to have settlements. They're going to have facilities. It's going to be more than 3 of them. It's not just going to be 3 random people in a random garage somewhere halfway across Cascade Hill somewhere, and they don't do nothing. Now, you don't know how they're surviving, where they're getting water from. No, they're going to have their own settlements too, and they're going to have their own wants and their own desires and their own plans of how they are surviving in this apocalyptic world. So that's pretty cool. I like that. And you're going to have an opportunity to build trust with them and help them, and maybe even possibly have a couple of them or have them join you in general. So I like that. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Now, the only thing that's, the kind of question I have and what's up in the air for me is there going to be any negative interactions with the Enclaves? Like, are they going to attack you if they're hostile? Like, are they going to come and try to take over your settlement? Are you going to have to defend your settlement not only against plague heart threats, but other Enclaves, hostile Enclaves? So they didn't really cover that, but I'm interested to know the negative aspects of the Enclaves in State of Decay 3. All right, so the next thing I want to cover is the looting in the game. So as we know, it's been said, 50 million times, most areas have been picked over in State of Decay 3. In the trailer, you kind of seen places deserted. There wasn't a lot of stuff around. Okay, so this is like years into Apocalypse. There's not going to be a lot of stuff left over. What they are saying, though, is the areas that are good for scavenging or are worth scavenging are going to be in the nest areas. So it's going to kind of entice you to have to go into these areas to, get all the best loot or some of the really high quality loot. You're going to have to venture into these nest areas to get it, because everywhere else you ain't going to get no good stuff. You might get little pieces here and there. So that's where you're going to have to go into nest areas. You're not going to be able to avoid them if you need resources. They also said that they will be encouraging you to scavenge on and off the beaten path. So they're going to kind of force you to explore the map a little bit, kind of go off into areas that maybe, you wouldn't think to go into to look for loot. And maybe that's where some of that good solid loot is. So they kind of set it up where it's not just going to be in the normal, everyday areas. You might have to go off way into the forest, maybe go deep into some, residential areas or areas, up in the mountains. I'm just saying, I don't know if they're going to be mountains, but, different places to go on and off that beaten path to get the right materials and resources you're going to need to help your members survive. So I love it. That sounds great. All right, so to wrap this up in a nutshell, I'm just vibing, y'all. You getting all the mess ups, all the bloopers, all in one video. I don't care. To wrap this up, overall, I'm excited with the more details we are getting about this game. This interview really gave us a lot more of a deeper dive into what to expect from the game. I know we're going to get more down the line. He said it in the interview. There'll be more information down the line as we get closer and closer and closer to May of 2027. I'm saying it. It's not official. I'm just saying May of 2027. Could be earlier, could be later. Who knows? That's just my prediction. But yeah, I love this interview. It was perfect. It really gives me an idea of what to expect from the game. And everything sounds really good. I don't really have anything negative to say now that I'm thinking about it. I think everything sounds good to me. I would love to know more about how attacking the plague nest and how I would like to know more about the solo gameplay, I think, at this point, because I'm not really a multiplayer guy. So I know I'm going to be playing this game mostly solo, maybe multiplayer here and there. So I would want to hear more about that if I had anything negative to say. How the game's going to react to you playing solo as opposed to multiplayer. But other than that, I love it. It's a major go. And yeah, let's get it. And with that, we're going to end the video here today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this content. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.
Peace out.